rolling?
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, I am too, actually. Okay, beauty. Whew, we're good then. Okay, happy?
All good, looking good.
Fab. All right, Matt.
Yay.
Thank you very much for joining me on Headstrong.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.
It's an honour.
I've no doubt that you've had quite a lot of the spotlight on you this year in 2024. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, actually. Yeah, a lot of people are just saying that they've seen a big change in me, quite a big shift, which feels good because I like that it's like how I feel on the inside is like being portrayed on the outside. So it's all matching up.
Do you think that you've changed?
I think so, yeah. I think I've recently turned 30. So don't they say, I don't know if you believe in astrology, but
No,
like,
I don't, but
you
I
don't.
don't know enough about it.
Yeah. Well, apparently there's something called Saturn return. So when we turn like 29, 28, Saturn returns to the exact place where it was when you were born.
Oh.
And then you feel like a shift in your body or in your life, sense of direction. Things might start to make a bit more sense. And I'm a bit skeptical. I'm a bit like, okay, cool. But I'm like, oh God, no, I think I'm going through that.
No, I'm happy to believe it. I turned 28 in June and I'm now going to be like,
yeah,
here comes an epiphany.
Mate, get ready. Saturn's coming for you.
Saturn's coming for me.
Saturn's coming for you, man.
Right.
Yeah. Watch out.
Yeah, watch out. Why do you think now was an important time for you to share what you're going through right now?
Yeah. To be honest, it wasn't something that I ever planned. It just sort of happened. I've been writing music for years, especially for like the last sort of like 6 years. Everyone's kind of like, where have you been? What you've been up to? And I've been, you know, in some of that time writing music for other artists all around the world, like, you know, records that are being sold millions of times. And like, I love doing that. But there were some songs that I couldn't give away. There were some songs that I were like, oh my God, I think this is for me. And after my whole experience of it, I didn't think I would go and do music again. I think I would stick to like being an actor, doing musicals, and then writing music for other artists instead. But then, like, so the song that I've recently put out, telling my story, His Car, I wrote that with just one other producer, and he was gay himself, and the pair of us just like really wanted to tell our story, and something that's just so, guess like everyday is the word that I'm using, because I feel like a lot of the time any stories that are being told within the lgbtq+ia community are like really dark and like can be quite well, you know, apart from like there's a couple of things like on TV, like Heartstopper, for example, like that's a bit more everyday. But other than that, 99.9% of everything we see, whether it be on TV or in the media at least, is like dark stuff like within the community, which obviously exists, but it's not everything that exists. And I think it's about showing like an everyday side to what it looks like. So we wrote the song, and then I immediately knew, I was like, I can see the whole music video. So I directed that and put that all together. And then I was like, this is it. This is how I'm just going to share my story. Not that I need to, because I live really normally in my everyday life. Like all my friends and family, anyone that knows me knows my situation and knows all about me. I think like publicly with this song, I felt that I couldn't not share it. There's already been people that have used the song to tell their parents about their situation.
That's amazing.
I'm like, whoa.
That must make you feel like,
oh my God, my job's done. I don't care about, obviously, you know, numbers are great on Spotify and things like that. But when it comes to like the real why we're doing this, my job's done.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels so great.
Just what you were saying there about, you know, your friends and family knew things about you, but then there's potentially this pressure from the spotlight and what the public think, what the media think. Did you feel a pressure to kind of share that because of what people have said in the past? Was there that kind of just general spotlight and pressure to share this story?
Yeah, it's really hard for me because back in, God, 8 years ago when I won the show in 2016, we weren't aware so much of mental health. No one was saying those words. Nobody was speaking about anxiety, depression, suicide. It wasn't that mainstream as it is today, which I'm so glad it is. So I was being like torn apart, and even by my own team. Like I had a team member like close the car door and be like, tell me right now, like, are you or aren't you? Because I am defending you to everyone in the industry. Like this person made out that the whole industry was hammering them about my sexuality, and if it turned out that I was gay, that person would have an egg on their face, and I would make them look bad. So I had to tell them the truth. But I'm a Taurus, so I'm stubborn, and well, I'm headstrong. So I was like, no, I'm not giving you this. That's not what I said, but in my head, I'm like, no one's taking this from me. When I decide when I want to share this part of me, if I ever do, I'll do it my own way. So, and it was the same, like at the time, you know, for a couple of years after the show, when, you know, I was really in the public eye, it wasn't something I was prepared for. It's never something that I wanted. Like I just wanted to sing. And I know people think, oh, why did you go on the show then? But like I had like £4 to my name and nothing to lose. So all I could think about was winning. So I was like, let me just get to the end and win the show I never thought would happen afterwards. And yeah, I just felt like there wasn't anyone there for me at the time. But I'm glad that there are more, where everyone's aware now of mental health and anxiety and what that can do to somebody. And you can't just do that to a person. It's not your business. You have to let somebody come to you when they're ready, how they want and when they want.
And this was right for you.
And this was right for me. So yeah, I never knew how I would do it. But when this song happened, like we wrote it in the studio, that's when I was like, this is it. This is how I'm going to do it.
And with this song then, because it's deeply personal, right?
Yeah.
And it's about a relationship when you were younger.
Yep.
I'm curious to know, are you still in touch with said person, and do you have to ask permission for something like this when it's so personal?
Definitely. I mean, I don't think, you know, you don't have to ask permission, but I think it's nice to give a heads up, you know? So for me, this song is like, I describe it as like an apology to the first man that I fell in love with, because this happened like in the whole whirlwind of the show. So after the show, those 2.5 years of like crazy life is how I kind of describe it. I was secretly in a relationship with this man who had very much been out for a long time. And I asked too much of him. I feel really bad about that today, because I was like, what the lyrics say are exactly that. Like I was like, you'll never be able to tell anyone about us. Like your mum and dad can never know. You know, this is all hush. You can't tell anyone, which is awful.
In that situation, in that time, was there ever a time when someone said, oh, are you two together? Well,
Yeah.
How did that make you feel? What was that reaction?
Oh my God, mate. I'd break into a sweat. My heart would drop. And I think it's not that I was ever ashamed. I've never been ashamed of being gay, but I think not having control is what I was afraid of. That there were, you know, members of my team and, you know, press, and people around me within the industry that were almost trying to catch me out. So I didn't feel safe anywhere. Like, I just felt that I'd won, my dream had come true and I'd won this huge show. And then the reality hit me and I was just trying to be tripped up everywhere I went by people that my career was in their hands. Don't get me wrong, like I don't believe in the what ifs, and I don't believe in if I could go back and do things differently. Like I trust I'm right where I'm meant to be all the time.
With Saturn on your back.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, yeah, man. I think I'm 30. I'm really happy. I have my home, I have my partner, I have my career that I love. I'm in a really good space. And even though there were those dark times, it still led me to here. So,
for sure.
good,
Well, we'll come back on and talk about like the show and the music industry in general. But in this time when you've come out and you've openly told the public now that you're gay, what's that acceptance been like from the community of LGBTQ+?
Honestly, I had no idea what to expect. Like, if it was anything compared to what I was going through without being out, I would probably be petrified. And then it's just been like 99.9% love. I couldn't believe it. Like, the response was just way more positive than I could ever imagine. Like, the amount of people that connected with it, it's our best performing record that we've released in the last year. Everyone's been really supportive of it. I've just been welcomed with open arms. And I know, I'm well aware that a lot of people knew, you know, but...
Well, they can guess.
They can guess.
For sure.
Yeah.
And of course, you can have your opinion. Go for it.
Absolutely. Which was something that I really spoke about. Like, it's when you tell somebody that you're gay and they say, oh, I knew, I think it's a really selfish like act because you're making it about yourself.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not about you. Yeah. Which I don't think people understand that. Like, they don't see it as like an offense thing, but it does take away from you when you're doing something that's, you know, it's brave to do that in the world. Like, people are, to get deep for a second, like, people still, you know, in danger in certain countries and places. So it's not something that you want to do lightly.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
in some countries it's still illegal. I mean, imagine the turmoil and thought process and concern that they're going through.
Yeah.
When, you know, ultimately, I know that this is not to downplay anything of what you've experienced, but the world that we live in is so lucky to have that liberating experience of, I can now say it. You know what I mean? And I bet you must. Was it a weight off your shoulders?
Actually, I felt the same.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that my online presence is better.
More authentic?
Yeah, more authentic, because I don't like upload a story like just like thinking about, you know, how am I behaving or how am I speaking or whatever, which I think I didn't realize I was doing. But I think because I started this whole journey right off a massive TV show, I just trained myself to just be like, when I turn on Snapchat, I'm like, I turn on a thing, or like Instagram, I turn on this person that I'm nothing like. So it's nice to, even like interviews and stuff, whereas now I can just be like,
chill.
I'm just me.
Be yourself.
Just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's only like I noticed afterwards that I was like, oh, I can be myself now. Wait, I didn't realize I wasn't
self-awareness, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. What does the word community mean to you?
It means a lot, I think, because I am somebody that really relies on surrounding myself with good people. I really love my own company and I like to be alone, but at the same time, I'm not like somebody that has hundreds of friends. I have like probably like 10 or 15 friends that are all my best friends, are all my close friends. And I feel like I've spent a lot of time finding these people, and they're my community, they're my family. I tell you what, like the first time, it was such a lovely feeling, but I headlined Gran Canaria Pride last month, and I was getting on the plane and I could just see everybody that was going, and all different types of people. Like, there were, you know, gay men, lesbian women, trans people, and I just felt like I was part of them. For the first time, I didn't feel alone, because I wasn't holding like a secret, or like, I was just looking around and I was just like, it's just nice to be surrounded by people within my community. And like, it means a lot. It makes you not feel alone, and it makes you feel like you can tackle the world together. How
important is it then, as you've kind of just described there, to, regardless of what situation you are, however many friends you have, how important is it to build a safe group and support bubble around you?
I think that's one of the most important things. I think that's one of the keys to life. Like, your humans around you are going to get you through. Like, we all will get each other through together. I think again, like as I mentioned, like I'm really, I like my own company, and I really struggled asking for help. I like to do things alone. Like, you know, I got my house all by myself, and I did this all by myself, and I did that all by myself. But I don't see it as much of like, it's not a flex to be like, I did it alone. Like, why do it alone when you could enjoy it and have it with people around you? So honestly, like for me, yeah, your humans, your family, your friends, your people, if you get those right, I think that is one of the top key like ingredients to succeeding in life, in everyday life, how to get through, because it can be tough.
What do you think pride will mean to you this year more than any other?
It changed. It felt like, because I've been trying, like I've done a few prides in the past, but nothing like what I'm doing this summer. And I think even like from the bookers, they're like, okay, yeah, that's awesome that Matt wants to come, but like, why? Like, we're like, he's an ally. I don't know, like, what is it? Whereas now it kind of makes sense.
Sure.
Like, I'm amongst you. Like, even though it may seem like it's just been like announced like this year, I've in the real world, like with my feet on the ground, I've been doing the work. Like I've been amongst all of my community for years. It just feels nice now that it's like publicly there, and that I can really just openly be with everyone.
What piece of advice would you give to somebody who is struggling with identity or sexuality in the current climate?
I would say there is no right or wrong time for you to share your story, and take your time with it to figure it out. You don't have to tell anybody until you are 100% sure. And that could take a lifetime. That could take, you could be turned 20 and be sure. I've got friends that are 25 and they know exactly who they are. I've got friends who are 40 and they're still figuring it out. Like there's no right or wrong way to do any of it. There's just, you know, figure out your own way and what works best for you. With identity, I think like I really struggled in separating Matt, Terry, and Matt is how in my head, how I do it now. I felt like because I didn't like hit number one, like I felt like I was a big letdown. Like, and I hated myself for a long time. I was really hard on myself, but because I couldn't separate the two, I was just like punishing myself for years. Whereas now I'm like, damn, like I hit 150 million streams on my debut single. That's huge. But back then, sounds so old, but like in 2016, in 1982, like 2016, like Spotify hadn't quite made the transition yet, and it was still about chart position. Whereas now, it's irrelevant. Like you just need streams, you need playlists, you need those numbers. So any artist today would be thrilled to be a new artist and hit over 100 million on their debut, which I understand now, and I recognize, and I've done a lot of work on that, and I've forgiven that. So yeah, identity is a strong one for me.
With all the positivity of you coming out and sharing your story, as you say, 99.9% of it is this joy and sharing in the pride of it, literally. Yeah. But there's, as we know, in this world with social media and all that, there's the modicum of negativity that is inescapable, right? What's your experience been like with trolls or even, you know, if someone sees you in the street, have you had these experiences? And what's your kind of coping mechanism, and how do you not fight that, but manage it?
Yeah, manage it. Okay. I feel like I am really disciplined. So let's just say, for example, like when my heart was broken, I'll say to myself, I'm never gonna look at his Instagram ever, and I will not.
Really?
I would.
So you're super strong-willed. You're headstrong.
Yeah, I am, and I will be so disappointed in myself if I ever caved, because I know myself, and I think all of that what I've been through, like, I'm just so disciplined. So like, there are things that are inevitable. I find that my Instagram, for example, like I am not the best social media person.
Join the club.
I have to work at it. Like I have to really think. It doesn't come naturally to me. and my page is pretty nice. So like, I'm just grateful that my following just seem to be supportive, lovely people. Now there's other platforms like, let's say TikTok, where every video, I guess, is almost just going out to new audiences every time you post. So there are times on there where you see things that inevitably are going to get to you. But I think it's about accepting that that's never going to go away. You can't please everyone. There's always going to be somebody that, even if you're doing all the right in the world, somebody's going to come and shit. Can I swear?
Yeah.
And shit on it. Sorry. I was like, fuck.
No, of course. But you've done two now.
Done two now. Damn. There we go. Like, someone will.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what you do. And I think once you understand that, and you can't take it personally, because I know that that person, they don't know me. Because if they knew me, I'm really sure that they wouldn't want to say that about me.
Yeah.
Because I value who I am, and I think I'm a good human. So my only explanation and what I tell myself, call me crazy, but I'm just like, they don't know me, because if they did, you wouldn't say that.
I always think what's a really interesting way of looking at someone like a troll is, and not to say that I'd ever feel sorry for them, but imagine if they were sat there next to you right now. I dare you to say that comment to your face in the room, in person, and still have the same conviction of with which you're typing it. I mean, it blows my mind.
I have this thing, right, that I think with social media being such a huge part of everyday life, it is everything. It's almost become like our water.
Yeah.
Like, it's up there. Why are we still living in a world where we don't have to validate our accounts? So like, why when we make it an Instagram account, do we not have to do the same as when we're booking a flight and we put in our let's say UK, our passport number? We have to do that. We can only have one account. We can't make 7 where one we're being nice and the other 6 we're trolling every fucker on the planet because it makes you feel better, whatever their reason is. So I don't understand how...
No, I completely agree.
How we not got there
You
yet.
need to be held accountable.
Yeah, so
and even for the positive things, just as much the negative. You know, it's like, I don't know how in this day and age, as you say, you know, on a Twitter account, an X account, I could make one right now. I could make a fake email, make that, no one will ever know.
And you can say what the hell you like with no consequences. Yeah. And I think, I can't believe that we're not there yet, considering how massive it is in the world.
Well, the problem is it's grown at such a fast speed. I think society in general just can't maintain keeping up with it, with which the way things are going. And even like, you know, look at the way AI is. Even for songwriters, it's like, write me lyrics now in a millisecond, boom. And of course, you know, whether they're good or not is by the by, but it can happen. It
can. It's wild. I think, like, I don't know how people aren't like more afraid of it, because, well, I'm a thinker. So I'm like, it could do this, it could do that, like the power of this and that. It's given society a measuring tool, which is so wrong. Yeah. Because like, I would never want to be like measured on an amount of followers or engagement or views, but we're being measured. Yeah. But they're so successful because they got 100 million views on their TikTok.
Oh my, it's,
you know,
like it's that dopamine hit as well that is particularly young adults, teenagers crave, literally. And it's like we've bred that. That's what we've now depicted as normal. Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying that kids shouldn't have phones or shouldn't be on social media. Regulate it or something where there's accountability.
That's it. Anyway. So you can't get away with saying anything. Yeah. Like let's just start with homophobia. Like, if like there's got to be some sort of penalty, even if it's something as simple as your account's deactivated for a month. Yeah, it'll make you think twice. I'm not saying jail. I'm not saying like a fine, but a deactivated account. That's it.
Remove a privilege.
Remove. Yeah, you can't. Every time you do that, and you're, you know, but I don't know how they're going to do that. But
I literally, that's the problem. It's like, how do you regulate it? And then we could be here for hours.
That's it. We'll go around in circles.
Yeah, literally. I'm curious to know what you're going to say to this question. What do you think of the phrase "man up"?
I hate it. I hate it because it's not really fair to women. Because what you're saying, like if like women aren't strong, and also if you are identifying as non-binary, that's gonna really strike a nerve. I even find it just gets on my nerves, like, because
What does it even mean?
what does it mean? I think like it's just making out that if you are a man in both ways, I'm trying to explain this the best I can, but to be a man means to just be able to take anything and everything and be as strong as you like, when that's not the message that we're sending out. Like, we've got, you know, boys cry too, you know, men are, I mean, look up like the Baby Reindeer, like that has helped men take stalking more seriously because it happens to men, but they're embarrassed to speak up about it because they've got a woman stalker. And because we have to man up, mate, man up. She's just like, no. If that was the other way around, you'd never say that. Like, you know, whenever I've done any musicals or stuff, like Stage Door has been like, it's never I've never done anything about this, but it's wrong. But I, you know, get groped by like middle-aged women and they think it's funny. Like, I touched his bum. Like, I take a picture and they like slap me on the bum or like kiss me. And like, I stole a kiss, or like, I pinched his ass or whatever. And like, when they're taking photos. So I think it hasn't happened to me in a while. I've not done musicals in a couple of years. Hopefully it wouldn't happen. But if it did, I'd definitely speak up now, because I'd be like, no, you can't, don't touch me like that. It is different because I guess like, I'm like, okay, I'm 6 foot, I could probably outrun them, I'm not in danger, like that's what goes through my head.
Yeah, but it's, again, it boils down to consent, literally.
Consent, yeah. And like,
just because you're in the public eye, people are like, or they almost feel like they own a little bit of you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Please don't touch my ass though.
Yeah, it's not difficult.
Yours.
I mean, you wouldn't do that on the tube to a randomer, would you?
Exactly.
So why are you doing it to me outside just because you see me on stage?
Exactly. You know, and if I know that a man, well, you'd like to think like if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was a middle-aged man and a girl in her 20s, like what would happen there?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
you
quite.
know? So, but yeah, man up is not, it's sad date.
Right, we're going to rewind. I want to look back at you growing up. What can you remember the first song you listened to, or something that is like a core memory?
Yeah. Do you remember the song "Sweet Like Chocolate Boy"?
No.
It goes, "Sweet like chocolate boy,
No.
sweet like chocolate." So it was a banger, and the cassette was like,
oh, that's why I don't know.
Yeah,
of course, I didn't have cassettes. Man,
what were we like 2 years apart?
Yeah.
It's Shanks and Bigfoot, I think it was called.
Oh,
and
like, Sheltered Life.
No way, but it was a cassette, and it was a chocolate footprint.
Oh.
And I played that to death till it didn't work no more. And that was it's a. I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, we'll listen. We'll put it on after on the speakers. So with music then, and growing up, was it a big part of your life? Was it always something that you can remember doing?
Definitely. I grew up in I'm the only singer, like a musician in my family, but everybody loves music. So but really differently. So my dad and my younger brother, like they're more like emotionally connected to music and how it makes them feel. And my little brother will like really like listen to lyrics. Whereas my mum's more about having fun with it. And so is my older brother. But we always had music on in the house. Like Motown was like their favorite thing.
Nice.
They loved the Drifters, Barry White, Bob Marley's like my mum's favorite. So always had music in the house. And I always like danced and like acted and sang, but singing was the last thing that I took seriously. Like, I don't know, I just it came late for me. But everyone always said, oh, Matt can sing. And I'd always just be like, oh, yeah, whatever, like brush it off. And then, yeah, when I turned 15, 16 was when I was like, I'm going to take this seriously. I think I want singing lessons and I want to give it a shot.
And what was school like then in terms of performance, singing, acting? Was that like an area where you found like a safe space and express yourself? Or was it just always an added thing that because you were good at it, you loved it?
Yeah, I think it was always, I don't ever remember doing it at school. We were talking about this earlier, actually. I got in my year 6, I played Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, but only because the guy that played Joseph, do you remember the football coins?
Yeah.
He swallowed one.
Christ.
But prior to that, I was a tree.
It's a healthy upgrade.
Yeah, so I was like, how did you guys have me as a tree? I'm wrapped in brown carpet in a green t-shirt with leaves sewn onto it. I was like, how? I'm standing in the background. I'm a prop. And then I ended up being Joseph. It was so funny. But other than that, I didn't do any of it at school. I don't know why, but it was always an after school thing. That I went to like a dance, like, and what's it called? Like
Stagecoach.
Yeah, that. Exactly.
Yeah. When did you first become aware of your mental health then?
Not until late. I'd say like when I was struggling. After the show.
Really? So like childhood, school, that was all pretty, you reflect on that just super positively?
No, actually. I definitely, like I said, I have this thing where I am in therapy now, which I love, but I've always just dealt with everything alone. So like that's been my thing of like trying to reach out and ask people to help me. But I've been a sugarcoater, like my whole life up until recently, like the last year or so, when I've really realized, no, I need to tell the truth now. And it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows like I've painted it out to be.
Sure.
You know? So I'm going back now and realizing that as a child, like I had experienced a lot of racism. I grew up in Spain. And I experienced a lot of homophobia, like a lot.
Is there anything that kind of comes to mind, some vivid memory?
Yeah, I mean, like it was like so bad. I mean, I've never spoken about this, but fuck it. I want to tell people so that they know, like, it's like I'd get home from like walking home from school, like there'd be a group of kids, like they'd be calling me like it's like a horrible word that they use to just like discriminate like somebody that from like British person.
Sure.
And they'd pin me to the ground and like, you know, kick me and yeah, one, I can't believe I'm saying this, but like I've had like they was trying to like shove shoes into me, insinuating that that's what I liked, you know. So it was dark, like really dark, and I never told anyone.
And in that, you never told anyone at the time.
I never told anyone. No.
Was that from? And thank God, like I mean, it's like I know that you will have spoken about that in private with like your therapist and stuff. That's really important. But like, it's difficult to say it out loud, particularly when I get, as you say, you've kind of almost sugarcoated it or hidden it.
Yeah.
Was that all from like a place of you were scared of like telling somebody that this is what's happened to me?
Yeah,
like,
I think so. I think in my head, I didn't want to tell my mum and dad because I didn't want them to think that I was gay at the time. I think that's what I was afraid of. Like, I was worried that if I said it to them, that it would be true. But this is me being really young. Like I said, from what I remember as an adult, I never remember being ashamed of being gay at all. Like I love all of me. But yeah, I think like I look back and I think, oh, I grew up in Spain and I'm bilingual and I was the first British person to graduate in like ever. And that's what I chose to focus on.
Sure.
But as I've got older, all of that I've suppressed underneath is now coming up. Hence why like I started therapy like a few months ago, because I was like,
was that the first time you'd ever been to therapy?
Yeah. I said I want to go back. I'm strong. I'm in a really good, happy place, but I need to go back because I really want to understand what happened to me and like what I went through.
And I was chatting to someone actually yesterday about therapy, and it's actually quite often when you start therapy, quite often you might actually get worse before it gets better, because for someone like you who hasn't spoken about this stuff, you're almost unpacking it.
It's wild. Mate, honestly, like before, like when I started, I want to say like 2 months ago, maybe like 9 or 10 weeks ago, around there maybe. And I was going like that in the...
Like a physical reaction.
Couldn't get it out. It was like that.
Wow.
And he was like, you know, my therapist was like, take a breath. Like this is what's going to happen to you. And it's where I've just hidden it and suppressed it and pushed it down and down and down. But now for me to be able to sit here and talk to you so freely about it just goes to show like the work that is, you know, being done and how understanding it. Because the worst thing I could ever ask for is anyone to pity me, because you don't need to pity me. I am very happy. I'm in a really good place, and have been, and will have a great life. but we should tell our story. That's what everyone's doing. You're seeing like all these Viola Davis, Will Smith, all these people, they're doing these, you know, autobiographies where they're telling their story. And it's only because we just want, you know, they want people to relate to what they're saying. They're human. The more stories that we share with each other, I think the more understanding everyone can be and the more comfortable the world is going to be for us all to be living in it together. So I think that's the whole point of sharing stuff, sharing shit with everyone, because I hope that if one, it's that classic thing, like if one listener listens to this and says, fuck, I didn't know you went through that. And then it makes them think, oh, that's happened to me.
It makes it all worth it.
It's all worth it.
Yeah,
it's just,
for sure.
Let's just get it out and talk about it, you know, in your own time and how you feel comfortable. I would never say anything I didn't want to say. So, you know, clearly I'm okay with it.
So also, when you're talking about things like this, now particularly, you're seeing your therapist is fun, you're in an amazingly happy place. What do you do to switch off and look after your mental health? Because that's so important.
Yeah, and something I'm still learning, because I like have a fear of like spare time. Like if I look at my diary and I've got like one free day in a couple of weeks, I'm like, right, I'm calling up a producer, I'm in a studio somewhere, or I'm going to the cinema with someone, which is fine. So it's just, I have this thing where I feel like this isn't like concrete, this is just my thoughts and my like theory. And I feel like you either can stand still or you can just keep running. And eventually, if you keep running, you're going to tire out. And that's what's happened to me. I feel like I've just been on the run for like years, just like touring, doing shows in the studio, you know, happy, but on the run. Whereas now I've learned to just like be still, and I've moved. This is the reason why we spoke earlier. I've just moved, and I've moved back to the first property that I bought. And I've just said that I need roots. So now it's just about finding those smaller things in my everyday life that make me smile. So like I've just been like doing paneling with my dad and like painting.
Down to earth, man.
Down to earth, like everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Walking to the shop instead of jumping in the car and getting it done quickly. Like, no, I've got the time, take a stroll. Like it's not get to the finish line every second.
Yeah.
So I would just say I'm learning still, but I'm getting better, putting my energy on the little things, on the smaller things in my everyday life, and not just looking forward to like, oh, I'm with you guys today at Headstrong Podcast. Great. Okay. But like in between, like, you know, I'm seeing a friend for coffee or like taking a stroll, and like, you know, I'm going to go home and sort out some furniture.
Love it.
So, you know, it's balance.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And with that kind of balance, then I think what's interesting about someone in the public eye, people often think, you know, I bet you actually get it. Like, oh, this is Matt Terry. It's like, no, I'm Matt. You don't need to say my full name every time.
Even now when you just said like, and you pointed at me and said like someone in the public eye, it's so funny because like, I just don't feel like I am.
No, of course not. But you don't as a person.
Yeah,
bro. It's
exactly.
just like,
but I take that as in, I'm so in such a human place.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised.
Yeah,
when I'm not recognized on the street or whatever, sometimes it catches me. You know?
So when you were auditioning for the X Factor, and you've talked about like when you were getting into it and, you know, your financial position, which is probably not dissimilar to mine, but that's because of spending habits. I'm very bad at that. No, but when you were getting into the X Factor, there was that opportunity, because I think you are so headstrong, you were like, I'm going to make this a successful journey. And so fame could well have come out of that. Were you apprehensive looking forward to that? What was your opinion of fame before you've experienced it?
Honestly, I hadn't given it thought. Like, I can't explain it. Like, all I envisioned was winning the show. Like, I was like, that's all I want. I just want to win that show because I want to sing every day. Like, for real, from the bottom of my heart, I mean that's all it was. So like, I think that's why I actually struggled afterwards, because it's so funny because like, I was even not aware of like what was going on around me. Like when someone was like, oh, you've got like 250,000 followers on Instagram. I was like, have I? For real? I didn't even know. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Which is my focus was just elsewhere. All I could think about was, I can't write. I got this song idea that I want to write, and I need to get this album out. I want to, you know, please everyone. Neither of these things are right, but I was just focusing on like, I want to get shit right. I want to get shit done. I want to get in the studio. I went fussed. I was like, do I have to go to this red carpet? They're like, yes. I'm like, do I have to? They're like, yes. And now I understand why. Like, I get it. Like, if you want, you know, to help promote music, it's good to be out there and be visible. But it's like I struggled with at the time. But fame is just such a weird.
It's such an odd concept
so
when
weird,
you like. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's so strange.
With the X Factor, and I'm going to limit it to 3 words. How would you describe the X Factor experience in 3 words for you?
Okay, 3 words. I want to choose good ones. Can I do 3 phrases?
Fine. Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
in.
Crash course of like learning.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say it opens and closes doors. Grateful.
Love that. I think, to be fair, you pretty much do capture everything in that. Yeah. I mean, when you say, because I'm curious actually, because you said both, opens and closes doors. What do you mean when you investigate that?
I can only speak,
and I don't. I don't want.
No. It's all good for like the music industry. I felt that I had to be like twice as good. I still have to be twice as good to be considered like a real artist. It's like there's a difference, and it's not so much fans and people, but so maybe like, you know, within, like, I won't name names, but there are certain radio stations that would like, I have a song with Enrique Iglesias and Sean Paul, and they wouldn't name me, you know, and it's my voice on it, and they would say, up next we've got Enrique Iglesias and Sean Paul with Similar La Radio, and it was like, oh, okay, is it not cool because I'm an X Factor winner? But like, it's just a part of me.
Do you feel like you still have to separate yourself from that?
Not so much now. No, I honestly, like, it's really nice actually, because as time's gone on, people almost forget where they know me from. Sure. So it's like, Smack Terry, like, yeah. What? Like, was he on Love Island? Was he on BGT? He's on TV somewhere. Yeah. Is he an actor? Like, which I love, because it's just that they remember me, you know, and it's my identity. So that's what I mean with opens and closes doors. Like I said, like, I wouldn't be sitting here today without the show. For sure. And I wouldn't be as resilient and I think as strong as I am today without all that experience. I wouldn't change it for the world. Like everyone always says, if you could go back, I'll do absolutely everything that I've done exactly the same, because I believe that I'm always where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, I think I can just say within the music industry, I felt that I wasn't taken seriously.
Yeah, I know, I get that.
Sometimes.
With the X Factor, it's such a huge machine, and naturally with it brings success, for which you're so grateful, as are so many people that have built incredible careers, right? But there's also, throughout that time, and it may well be a time thing because mental health was not part of a conversation, but there's that duty of care that we see now in Love Island, for example, that is so important to make sure people are okay with that, ultimately a catapult into the spotlight.
I think that they do like psychological tests now prior to, right?
Yeah. So what was that like for you? And how important do you think duty of care is?
Yeah, I mean, I think like it was non-existent like when I was there. And I think it's like the most important factor of it, because the thing is, it's not being on it, it's afterwards. When you're let out back into the wild, you know, at the end of the day, you have to see it as you are contributing to a TV show that's making a lot of money from you, that is exposing you. So then when you're just there, like for me, for example, and I was just like put back out into the world almost, let's just say, you know, I was like, now what happens now?
Well, I suppose you've had like 12, 16 weeks of being told where to go almost every day.
We had full security. We had like cars dropping us everywhere. I'm not saying that's what I want. That's not what I want. That's not the life I want to live. But it was like we were there everything. Like without these contestants, we have no show. So we were there everything. Let's take care of them, make sure they're okay, make sure they're fed and watered and they're safe. And then as soon as the show's over, it's like, off you go. And that was it. that was it. And I guess it would fall into the hands of your management to take care of you. And I'm not saying like I'm still friends with some people from my management, but I mean like some of them, a couple of them that were like really close to me. I'm like, you know, they weren't there. Yeah, but can I blame them? Like maybe not. Maybe they were out of their depth. Like I had an old publicist reach out. She was my publicist straight after the show. And when I dropped his car, she sent me a paragraph of like, she's like, I hope you know that I love her. I got a lot of time for her. But she said how she was flabbergasted with what I'd gone through. She'd never experienced in all of her years as a publicist anything like it, especially in the sexuality. She said, I don't know how you got through it, but I'm glad that you did. And I'm glad that you've done this now. And you've taken narrative and taken control of it, and you've done it the right way, like these years later. And it meant a lot. Like it was a lot of closure because she recognized that. And I'm just like, thank you for just saying that you were at your depth because you're human. Yeah. I can't stand people.
You're allowed to admit vulnerability.
Yeah. Just say like, I don't know what to do here. Okay. So we need to find somebody that's going to help us and someone that's going to get us through this shit because you can't do it. I can't do it. We need to look elsewhere. Yeah. And I just wish that was the case, but it weren't. It's just people like, you know, bullshitting. Well,
unfortunately, and I don't mean this in the music industry, the creative arts in general is just so much hot air of almost fake it till you make it to an extent as well.
And I get that. Yeah. But when it's like, when someone's
severe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when it's actually tackling your mental well-being.
Exactly.
Let's take it back and actually, yes, fine, we're here for money, we're here for streams, but let's not forget actually Matt's a person.
Yes, you know? Exactly. Let's hold our hands up and say, we're stuck. We need a helping hand. Who do we speak to? And go from there.
Love it. Right. We've got this single out. 2024. Still another 6 months to come. More music.
Yes.
Singles coming out.
Yes.
Exciting stuff. What can you share?
Oh, I'll share with you. It's I feel like I've told my story now. So it's time to have some fun. So this next one is an undeniable, if I do say so myself, pop hit that I know is great. Ready for summer, 21st of June. It's coming out.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's literally the day this is coming out, mate.
Great.
It's almost like I planned it.
There we go. In that case, it's called Bougie and it's out now.
We've got an embargo, don't worry, publicist.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm just excited to have some fun now, like with the music.
Love that. Okay, the penultimate question. Who is going to be your dream collab? Who would you love to work with?
God.
Horrible question. And also a very difficult question.
Yeah, it's really hard. If I could dream big... No, actually, I'm not going to say her because she don't collaborate with anyone, so that's not a chance. I would say Troye Sivan.
Okay, nice.
Like, if I could pick anyone right now, like, Troye, if you're watching. If you're listening, Troye out there.
Amazing.
I love what he's doing. And yeah, hopefully, just like, listen, let's just get some streams under our belt and then he'll come knocking. That's the plan.
Hey, I've really enjoyed chatting to you, Matt. But my final question is, what does the word headstrong mean to you? It
means a lot because it's a really solid word in my zodiac. I've spoken a lot about astrology here, haven't I? I think headstrong means finding something that you believe in, whether it's yourself or whatever in life, and sticking to it. I believe in not telling everybody what I'm up to because other people's opinions, whether they mean well or not, can throw you off track. So I think it's about working quietly, keeping that goal right in your eye line and sticking with it. Stick to what you believe in. So for me, I believe in myself, and no matter what anyone around me says, any opinion, I will stick to that 100%. And I'm not coming off that. I'm not getting off it. I'm too headstrong.
Love it. Hey, Matt, that was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, mate.
And yeah, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Amazing.
Cheers.
Love it.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. That was awesome.
Loved it.
Loved it. Really, really good.